Welcome back to Speak Up Queen, the podcast where we empower, uplift, and celebrate women who have reclaimed their voices to inspire others. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome the inspiring Hana to the show. Hana is an international speaker, author, and coach who dedicates her life to helping others transform their challenges into triumphs. Her passion lies in empowering women to embrace their authentic selves, unlocking their potential, and thrive in every area of their life. With her unique blend of storytelling, coaching, and wisdom, Hannah's mission is to inspire and uplift those who are ready to take charge of their journey. Hannah's story is a powerful testament to the strength of the human spirit and the importance of stepping into our truth. So, without further ado, let's welcome Hannah to Speak Up Queen.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you.
Hannah, what was the most challenging limiting belief you had to overcome, and how did breaking free from it help you reclaim your voice?
I think I went through a lot of violence in my 20s. And so I believed that that was going to shape the rest of my life. That I was, constantly fighting to get out of that experience, to get anything done, to be heard, to move on. And when I realized that that was a story, and I'm not in denial about what happened, but I had made it into my identity. And when I started seeing that that's not who I am, like whatever you've been through is not who you are, then the doors opened and I went on and had an amazing life, and it's still going.
Wow. Can you share when someone's words or actions made you feel small and how you found the strength to rise above it?
Wow. The first one that comes to mind was I grew up in the UK, and I'd been mugged by three men who slammed me on the ground, beat the living daylights out of me. I thought I was going to die. And I had this is the early 80s, so I didn't have a diagnosis at the time, but I'm sure it had been called PTSD now. And the day afterwards, I tried to leave my house, and there was a voice in my head saying, when you left the house yesterday, they almost killed you. And this went on for months. But I got out the house because I wanted the police to know what had happened, because other women might be hurt. And I got myself panic attacks, got myself to the police station, and I gave a statement. And I can remember the young detective officer who took my statement. He said, "Well, we know who did it." And I'm like, I said, "And what are you doing about it?" And he said, "Oh, we've got more important things to deal with." Now, if it had been okay to reach across and grab him by the neck, I would have like smacked his head into the table. I said to him, "Why can't you just put up a poster like in the laundromat or in the shops or something, tell women not to walk alone, because there are," and it was 6 o'clock in the evening. It wasn't like it was late at, in the middle of the night. I was 6 o'clock in the evening walking in my known neighborhood where this happened. I almost died. And this man completely dismissed me. I mean, I already felt dismissed because of the event. And now this person who's supposed to be on your side, protecting you, completely dismissed me. And I think that's what compounded all those feelings of not counting, not matter, I don't matter, I can be thrown away. And that stuck with me for a very long time. And I don't think I even realized it at the time how devastating that was. But thinking about it now, I was young, I was in my early 20s, to be told by a policeman, "I don't count and it doesn't matter." That was, and I don't think he meant to be, he just was being ignorant, naive, it's just, he just didn't realize what effect that could have on someone, especially in a very vulnerable state like I was in. And I've never done anything specifically to get over that comment, because like I say, I didn't really register it. It was just part of that horrible darkness that I kind of dived into following that event and the violence. And there was another mugging after that. So, but what has really helped is seeing that, as real and painful as that was, I'm only feeling it now. I mean, continuing to feel it as a thought passing through my mind. It can't hurt me anymore unless I think it does. So we all have this meaning maker that we put on situations like that. And I'm actually experiencing the meaning I've made out of it. So as my perspective changed of it, I didn't have to suffer from what he said anymore. Right? He still said it, and I still think it was outrageously wrong, but I don't have to suffer because first of all, I see that he was, it's strange to use the word innocent, but he innocently didn't understand the effect it would have on me. And I don't have to identify myself through his ignorance. So understanding that we're only ever experiencing our thinking about any situation means that I can be free, because if I have a different perspective of it, then I don't have to suffer from it anymore. So I guess that would be my answer.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
What safety resources, spaces, or tools have most impacted your healing journey?
I used to be really into tools and techniques. And I became a coach, a trauma counselor, and I used a lot of tools and techniques for many years. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. What I discovered about this is tools and techniques work really well for the person who invented them because it made sense to them. But when you're in a very low place, when you're miserable and you're feeling whatever symptoms, whether physical, emotional, I don't know about you, but I don't want to meditate. I don't want to write. Like, I just want to go in my room and eat chocolate and cry and watch movies, that's what I want to do, right? Or I did. And so I stopped using tools and techniques when I realized that they only took you so far. Because if I need willpower in order to put them into action, then I've got to be in a fairly decent place in order to summon up that willpower to make it happen. Like I said, when I'm in a dark place, I don't care. I don't want to. And maybe I don't even want to get out of my low mood, right? So tools and techniques are only as good as the state of mind you're in. So what I've seen is my state of mind is far more useful as a tool. And I think we highly underestimate a good mood as a tool. Now, how do I get into a good mood? So for me, what I've seen is it's about awareness. If I catch myself kind of diving down, one of my bad habits, especially when I was in those dark days, was making lists of things that are wrong in my head. This is wrong, that's wrong, like he didn't call me back, she doesn't pay me enough, I don't like him, and it would end up with and I have to clean my teeth. Maybe it's because I'm English, I don't know. But, if cleaning my teeth gets on the list of things I have to do, then I've clearly gone down into such a low perspective that everything is wrong. Everybody's doing it wrong. And I can't see clearly. So what I started learning was those kind of thoughts have a certain feeling to them. They have a very heavy feeling. They're intense, maybe some urgency. So the sense of urgency and heaviness and intenseness, they're kind of like a warning signal for me, not necessarily the content of the thought, because that's always very convincing, right? If I listen to the story, it'll convince me, to hide in my room and eat chocolate, right? But if I recognize the feeling as like a smoke alarm, it's letting me know I'm heading in the wrong direction, that thinking is very unreliable. It's probably not even true, because now I'm exaggerating and I'm feeling the exaggeration of the thinking. And I've learned not to listen to it. And by listening to it, I can watch it go by and you can pop out of it. I don't actually have to do anything. It's just awareness. And so I've kind of put all my tools and techniques in on the shelf. That's not to say that meditation and writing aren't good things, because I love writing. I write books, but I'm not doing it to fix myself, because I don't need fixing. There was nothing wrong in the first place. I just innocently got caught up in some thinking that was taking me down. You don't listen to it. I see that it's not real, and you come out of it. So yeah, that's what I see now.
This is another way. I've never heard this story. Like, seriously, I am like, whoa. This is amazing. I just love this. It's like, this is the first time that I've heard someone say, leave the tools and just start on your thinking. It is like, whoa. I'm like speechless, not breathless, speechless. What safety resource? Oh, no, that is the one I did. What was the first step you took from feeling silenced to finding your voice, and how did that step change your life?
Um, I think for me, it was much more of a gradual process. Like it didn't just suddenly happen from one day to the next. But I mean, I can think of different areas. Like when you said that, this memory just came into my mind. After recovering from all this violence and PTSD, I've always been creative. I make stuff. And so I lived in London and I started working in the theatre, making costumes and props. And I got the opportunity to work on a movie. And the movie was, I was working for Jim Henson's Creature Shop. That Jim Henson made the Muppets, you know, Kermit, Miss Piggy, and all that stuff, which is done in New York. But in London, we built the like puppets for other people's movies. And I can remember sitting in the first meeting we had, and I'm sitting around a table with Academy Award winners and people who've been working in the, you know, film business for years. And I remember thinking like, if they know who I really am, they would show me the door. Like I didn't have a right to be there, right? I suddenly felt really like insecure because I'd worked in the theater, but I'd never worked on something so prestigious. And in this boardroom where we were having a meeting, there was a huge big black and white photograph of Jim Henson and Kermit, right? It was like Kermit the Frog, right? And I just looked over and I thought, I just felt so much love. You know, like he's like, yeah, you can be here. It's okay. Look, I'm just a silly man with a frog. You know, I thought, and then I said something in the meeting, and they listened to me, and they took my opinion, which was amazing. And I want to tell you, the next movie I worked on was filmed in Australia. So I got to go to Australia. I don't know if you remember the movie Babe, the talking pig movie.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
So we filmed that in a place called Barrel, which is just south of Sydney. It's between Sydney and Canberra. So I spent 6 months there. So I went to the Blue Mountains, I went to Sydney, I dated a surfer at the time, and we went all the surf shops all up the New South Wales coast all the way up to Newcastle. So I've got very, very fond memories of being there in Australia. It was amazing. And we won an Academy Award for that one. So then I got my own. So that kind of started, I was kind of coming out of my shell, right? And then I moved to America. I worked in the film business for a long time. And I think the other way that my voice really became heard was when I started writing books, because I hadn't written anything since I was in high school. And because I was artistic and creative, I never saw myself as kind of academic or having any kind of academic skills. I kind of scraped through into university. It was bare minimum, and it was an arts degree. So, you know, so everybody had said to me, you should write a book. I could write a book about the traumas. I could write a book about the Hollywood experiences, moving countries. So I wrote a story, and I didn't tell anyone because I was terrified to tell anyone. Like, it sounds so pompous, oh, I'm writing a book. Right? This is all my thinking. And when I finished it, I sent it to a friend who's a book developer. She's an editor. And it was one of the scariest things I've ever done. I mean, and I've been on a bus that exploded. I've been beaten up. But sending like what I'd written for somebody else to read I felt incredibly vulnerable. And so I prefaced it with an email saying, if this is no good, if it's a pile of rubbish, please be nice to me, right? And I'll stop. So she read the first few chapters, and she said, it needs work, but it's really good. Let's work on it together. Let's keep going. And the next day, I came up with ideas for 6 more books. Bum, 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 like, and I've now written 4 of them. And the last 2 have been Amazon #1 bestsellers. Woohoo! I mean, for a day, you know, but I'll take that.
I'm
Right?
celebrating each
And
little step.
right, and so you know, my books now, I mean, the you know, the royalties I get from my books, I mean, they pay my rent. It's like and people have told, like, my books they're stories, but they have a message in them. So the first one was about trauma. The second one was about chronic pain, like, because my pain went away when I started to understand these ideas. The third one's about hormones. It's a hormone adventure novel, right? And women write to me and say, thank you so much for writing this. Like, this was my experience. Thank you. You really helped me. Or you helped my daughter. You know, you helped and their pain has gone away. Their hormone, you know, symptoms are going away. because they're starting to understand how their mind works. And, you know, these books are, it's so rewarding to know that the thoughts that and the struggles and pain I went through are now helping other people. So I write blogs now for people's websites. I write and I talk on podcasts like yours. And I realized that all that insecurity and self-consciousness was part of the story that I was listening to in my head. And I've had people say to me, "Oh, I couldn't do what you do. You're so brave to go and speak in front of, you know, hundreds of people." I say, why not? And they go, well, because I'm shy. I said, maybe I'm shy, right? Maybe I'm shy. I just don't listen to that thinking and I just get on with it. I've learned that I'm not going to die, right? It's not going to hurt. And I can show up and I can say what I think and share my story. And if it's helpful to at least one person, that's worth it. It really is worth it. Yeah.
That is what Speak Up Queen is all about, is just creating a safe space for women to share their stories and to just, if we can help one queen at a time to build her empire or rebuild her empire, that's my mission. That is really my whole big mission is this. And I loved it when you said that you were shy because you were in a room full of other people. That is how I felt starting this podcast. I was like, "Phew, I might not be good enough." But after each episode of recording, I'm like, you know what? They're all just human beings also. We are,
Right.
there's nothing to be, it's just so, it's just amazing. Oh my word.
Mhm.
What's
Yeah.
one powerful lesson you've learned about self-worth, and how do you carry it with you as you continue to grow and inspire others?
Wow, that's a great question. I think the most important thing I've learned through all of these journeys and adventures is that we are never broken. It doesn't matter what we've been through, whether it's like physical violence like I went through, or could be like something that happened in childhood, or domestic violence, all kinds of things we go through, financial problems, you know, angry teenagers, you know, divorce. There's so many things that just regular everyday people, we all have to deal with. And what I learned is no matter what I've been through, I'm not broken. My body might be in pain, or we might have, you know, different situations to deal with. But the essential me, the me that's inside, the Hana that I am, no matter what where I am or what I'm doing, that can never be broken. And it doesn't need fixing. Because a lot of the coaching I learned before was about how to, you know, fix my thinking, fix my attitude, fix my, you know, like that's what all the writing, the meditation, all that was. It's like, it's almost like I was kind of led to believe that my well-being was kind of over there. You know, if I work hard enough, I'll get to my well-being. If I need it, if I read enough of these guru books and I go to enough of these silent retreats and meditate enough and write all my feelings out and get in touch with my feelings, then I'll get there. But there, it's like tomorrow. It's like it never comes because it's always a little bit in front of you. And that, if you know what, I lived in Southern California for like 16 years. And this was kind of like the kind of, we prided ourselves on being searching kind of people. You know, I'm a searching kind of person. I realized now I wasn't very good at it because I'd been searching for 30 years and I didn't find it because I was looking in the wrong direction, right? I we would talk about it being an inside job. We would talk about, you know, it's inside. And then we would go looking out there for feeling better, right? Or the fix, whether it was a relationship or a job or the new car or whatever it was. And when I really see now that when it's an inside job, it's not just my heart or my who I think I am. It's an inside job is the quality of my mind, the state of mind I'm in. That's what I think I see now as an inside job. And if my state of mind is in the toilet, I'm gonna feel pretty bad, right? It's what I learned is it's a very reliable system. If you're spending all day thinking miserable, depressive, grumpy thinking, you cannot be in a good mood, right? But the opposite is also true. If you're thinking abundant, happy, joyful thinking, you can't be in a bad mood. In fact, I can't upset myself. I tried it the other day. I thought, if I think about all the terrible things that happened to me, and I just thought, this is boring, right? I used to spend all day doing that. It just doesn't interest me anymore. So I've kind of discovered that if I know that I'm not broken and I don't need fixing, then I have so much more time and energy in my day to do more fun things like hang out with you and write books and travel and do, you know, all these fun things. So yeah, it's been a journey, but I think if anybody listening, if you have any doubt that there's something wrong with you, just know that that's a story. Whether somebody else gave you that story or you've gathered it up from your own experiences, we may have gone through some terrible things, but right now you are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could tell your 17-year-old self one thing, what would it be and why?
Wow. I guess it would be along the same lines. It's like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And this is something I wish kids knew a lot more, is that life is messy. Life is bumpy. It goes up and down. We're going to have heartbreaks. We're going to have physical pain. We're going to have rejection. And that's something I'm realizing. Kids today, I sound like my mother. Kids today are being so overprotected from feeling uncomfortable. You know, like they're not allowed to feel any kind of discomfort. Like when I was a kid, we would, you know, be off for hours on our own. My mother didn't know where I was. She wasn't a bad mother. It's just that's what we did. And it's not like, and the crime rate is less now. And kids are not getting unsupervised play and experiences where they can go out and build those coping skills and learn how to deal with uncomfortable feelings. So I think when I was young, if I'd known that it was okay to be upset, it was okay to be angry, it was okay to, you know, have some hurt feelings. You're not going to die, right? You're going to get through this. It's going to pass. Yeah, it hurts today, but you're going to pass. I can remember days when I did not want to go to school. I would lie to my mother that I was sick. I would pretend I'd thrown up or something because I was so terrified of what people thought of me. Just kids in the classroom, you know. I was so insecure that I had all kinds of allergies and physically sick because I was so terrified. And if someone had told me now, you're okay, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a crazy thought you had and it's gonna pass. You're fine. You're strong. You're courageous. You have innate well-being. You have innate resilience. I think I probably wouldn't have suffered as much as I did. So yeah, if anybody's listening who's got little kids, like, you know, just you don't have to put resilience in them. They already have it. You just have to point it out to them. Because kids are amazing.
I've got an 11-year-old going on 18, but 11-year-old. And I'm like, sure. Sometimes I am very overprotective. I hear it all the time that I'm very overprotective. But I heard a quote that said, an overprotective mom was an unprotected child. And that was like, that is actually so true. I know the world is messy out there, and I tell him there is ugly things out there. I am just trying to keep you safe as possible because I don't want you to go to the trauma that I did. But it took me a lot of years. For the last year, I actually started letting him go to his friends and let friends come to us because I just couldn't get it to do that because I didn't feel confident or comfortable in doing it. So it is also, if you have been a survivor of child abuse and sexually abused, it's taking time. I want these listeners to know that you're not a bad mom if these things happen. It just takes some time and some healing your inner child so that you can become a better, I don't want to say better mom because you're already amazing mom, but just a more conscious mom about still letting them shine. Because that's something that we were taught as children. We have to be quiet. We can't show our emotions. We must just shush and be in our lane. Children are seen and not heard. That is what and I was repeating that things to my son. And then I realized, but that's a generational curse. That's trauma that I'm bringing up on him. That's still a cycle that I'm repeating. And I was like, if you can be respectful, if you want to speak up and say something is not working for you or it's not. He is speaking up. And I'm like, you always speak the truth, speak up, but do it in a respectful way. If sometimes I get overwhelmed because I am just human, and he will say, Mom, just breathe. Because I'm teaching him coping mechanisms so that when he is triggered, because I don't know what's going on in an 11-year-old boy's head at this stage in my life, but I tell him just that it's all gonna be okay. It's just, I don't know if it's hormones or something, but it's all gonna be okay.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
How do you set boundaries to protect your energy and peace? And what have you learned from this practice?
Um, I think what I've learned is that nothing on the outside of me can make me feel anything. So for the longest time, I thought my moods or the way I felt was a result of the people around me or the circumstances I was in, the situation, could be even the temperature, the neighbor's music, like, that's driving me crazy, you know, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And what I've discovered now is that nothing on the outside of me can make me feel anything, right? Because it's always my thinking about the situation. I mean, anybody listening, if you think about a situation, a time when you've watched a movie with your partner or your kid, or, you know, and one of you loves the movie and one of you is hating it or bored, right? Well, which one of you is right? 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 So it can't be the movie that's producing that experience. It's our thinking about it. So in terms of boundaries of what makes me feel something, I don't have I mean, I guess I do have boundaries in terms of privacy and stuff like that, especially with clients or, you know, people who are sometimes people can be like get really in your face about something. So I've learned to say, you know, that's private, or I'm not prepared to talk about that or something, and I'm, you know, I'm allowed to say that. But outside of those kind of very extreme situations, if I'm not blaming other people or situations for how I feel, then I don't really, boundaries isn't really an issue. It's not even a language that I even use very much, because I know that no one can get inside my head except me, right? I often say this to my clients, especially younger clients. I'll say, like, you have a superpower. You know what your superpower is? Your superpower is no one can get inside your head except you. Not your mom, not your teachers, not your friend, no one. And so if I'm the only person in my head doing this thinking, then it's kind of up to me how I think. And if I think someone's, like, you know, invading my boundaries, if I think someone's making me uncomfortable, in fact, I don't even like the word triggered, because I mean, I'm very aware there can be chain reactions in behaviors and you know, what follows on from that. But if I say, oh, that movie triggered me, maybe it's my thinking about the movie that got me upset. It can't be the movie, because the movie's outside of me. And plenty of other people enjoyed the movie. So it's always my perspective, my reaction to things that's creating the experience. So I don't really find the need for boundaries apart from extreme situations, because if I want to blame other people for how I'm feeling, then I've misunderstood, and that's on me, right? Yeah.
Wow. How do you stay grounded when challenges come up now compared to before?
I think that the clearest way for me now is just knowing it's going to pass. Because before, especially when you're in a low mood, and you're down in the basement, as it were, as an analogy, right? When you're in the basement, the walls are closed in on you. It's very dark. You might not even know where the door is. And so we panic because we feel very constricted. Like, see, my shoulders just went up. That's why I was in pain all the time, because my muscles are so tight that I was terrified of, I didn't know the answer. I didn't know this was going to end. I didn't, you know, so now I know that I just experienced some maybe really horrible thinking that just went through my mind. It's gonna end. So if I don't feed it or fight it, it usually ends a lot quicker. Because I think, like, the violence I went through, I mean, they were maximum like 1.5, 2 minutes, right? I mean, it felt like longer when it was happening, but the actual, violence lasted for 1 or 2 minutes. The suffering lasted for 10 to 15 years, because the suffering was me reliving the event or reliving the experiences, like talking to that policeman or my friends who were amazing at the time, but then they moved on to other things and I was still stuck in the pain of the memory of what happened. So now when I know it's going to pass, I learned one of my teachers is a psychiatrist who's a medical doctor. He taught me that even a flashback has a life of 3 minutes, because by the time the memory comes in, the blood pressure goes up, it goes through. If you don't feed it or fight it, it will last 3 minutes as opposed to 10 years, right? And so if you know that it's just your blood pressure's gone up, it's just a memory that's passing through, like a bad commercial, like not going to watch that. You can come back to your well-being. Like anybody can put up with something for 3 minutes. And when you don't feed it or fight it, you get stronger and stronger. Your immune system gets stronger. Your nervous system calms down. And it can go through and you don't even really notice it anymore. Like I said, I tried upsetting myself about things that happened to me in the past. I couldn't do it, because in a good mood, it doesn't make sense to be upset. Yeah, so knowing it's going to pass, I'd say is like something I really hold on to, and I recommend that to anybody.
How do you define thriving today, and what mindset shifts or practices help you embrace that definition? But I think you just covered it so beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Like thriving is such a great word, because I went from surviving to thriving, right? But for so many years I was just surviving, and that's what all the tools and techniques were helping me survive. So I'm not dismissing them completely. They helped me survive many years of, pain and emotional and physical pain. But now the thriving is because that's who we really are, right? Underneath all that stinky thinking, we are innate well-being, we are innate resilience and courage. We have all the courage and wisdom we need, and it's there. And so my favorite analogy is the blue sky, right? So when I woke up this morning, it was gray and misty, and because it's the winter here where I am, it was gray and misty, like, because I'm up a mountain, so the mist comes down very low. You can't see the tops of the buildings. The park has disappeared. So now, right, it's been a couple hours later, it's blue sky, right, and sunshine. I can see at my window across the park now, right? The mist has lifted. So it's like emotional turmoil is like weather, right? And we all have it, everybody has weather that goes through their emotional system. And it might even be a tornado, but the blue sky is always there, right? After the storm, it's not like you have to go and order blue sky from Amazon, right? It didn't go away. Like, so underneath whatever turmoil anybody's in right now, whether it's trauma or fear about the future, just know that underneath is the blue sky. You are the blue sky. And that's why when it passes, you don't have to work at coming back to it. I don't have to do gratitude lists and anger management classes and all that stuff anymore, because I am the blue sky.
Yeah.
As soon as I come out of the stinky thinking, we're right back there. And I think that is such a beautiful like philosophy for life. And so when you see that's true, it's not just a theory. When you see it's true, every heartbreak you've ever had, every miserable moment, every pain has moved on, and you've come back to yourself. You are the blue sky. It will keep happening. You are okay. So how can you not thrive from that belief system?
Sure. You have taught me a few things just in this half an hour. I am like, what? I am like really speaking. I'm like, sure, okay. It's just, and that is what is so amazing about this journey of being just you, is you must be curious to learn new things. You must be curious to listen to, I mean, each one of you amazing queens that raise your hands for Speak Up Queen is like, you must be willing to learn new things, because I don't know it all. I am just me, and I don't know it all, and I don't want to know it all. But it's just so amazing to listen and like, this is like, I've never heard it, and it makes so much sense now. And I'm like, whoa, this is just amazing, really. Thank you.
I love the word curious. I love that you use that word curious. Curious is like, because if we either think we know it all in an arrogant way or I've seen it all in a cynical way, I'm not going to be curious. And so how are we going to have a new experience? We need new experiences. God willing, I'm going to be having them for the rest of my life, right? Stay curious is probably one of the best things you can tell people. I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
What made you decide to be featured on Speak Up Queen, and how does it feel knowing that there's a safe space for women to share their stories and inspire others?
I love the title. I mean, it's such an inspiring title that because I grew up on the end of feminism. Like, when I was a kid, girls were still like seen to have to be quiet, and the boys. I have two older brothers. They got to do the fun things, and I got to watch. That was my right. I'm turned 60 this year, so yeah, I grew up in the 60s and 70s when girls were still, the boys climbed the trees and we had to watch. Right. And so, it really means a lot that, I'm so amazing that girls can grow up today and know that they have a voice and that they have every right to go climb trees or do whatever, they can make cakes too if they wanted to. It's like there's not all those rules and regulations about what girls and boys can do. I mean, I still believe that that there's, healthy boundaries are good for kids, but that as a woman, I mean, one of my pet peeves for a long time, especially when I was working in the film business and like other areas where I was in meetings, one of my pet peeves was like a man could say something and it'd be ridiculous and people would listen to him because he's a man. I would say it and they just dismiss me because you're a girl. Right? No, I'm a woman, and actually, what I'm saying makes sense. And so now that stuff doesn't happen so much anymore. And so because of situations like what you're offering people, is that I mean, even coming on here for anybody is like practicing speaking, and then you can do it anywhere. It's you just have to start. You have to show up and try. And I think you're doing an amazing job at offering that space for women. It's brilliant.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Ron. Thank you for your time. I really learned a lot, and I can't wait to hear what the listeners are thinking, because this was really one of those impactful, curious. Yeah, it's just amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and for your kind words. I really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure.